Well, at one point, you link up with Brother Lynch Hung.
Mm-hmm.
And he's older than you.
He is. He's 6-7 years older than me.
Yeah, and I've interviewed him about this. And he started to produce your music.
Yeah, he started contributing to the production of my music. So the homeboy Percy Hunter from Flat Dog, the homie Percy, we met at school. I was spitting rhymes. Everybody was in a cipher. And we had this little crew called Oak La Sac. It was a couple cats from LA, a couple cats from Oakland, and then a couple of us from Sac. And so Oak La Sac was our little rap group. And we was just spitting rhymes and going at it. And Percy was standing there getting a bar. And Cuz was like, nigga, come to my house at lunchtime. I want you to come to my house. So we go to Percy's house on the south side. He lived off like 72nd and shit off of Freeport. And we go to his house and this nigga got everything. Drum machine, 4-track recorders, every record that you could think of on earth. And Percy was one of them borderline kids who he had one foot in the trouble and one foot at home. He had both his parents and they were good people. And they used to let us be in that house till 2, 3 in the morning making music in there because they felt like it was better than us being outside. They was good people. That nigga had a good family. And so he was rewarded. His mom and his daddy bought him all that shit because it kept him in the house. And by him having that, it kept us in the house. So me and Percy technically started making the songs that became My Niggas in Black EP, the first half of Psychoactive. Almost all that shit was me and Percy. So December 17th of 1990, we are on Alcott and Fruit Ridge in the South area, like on the borderline of Midtown. And that day I can remember because it's my grandmother's death day. So on my grandmother's death day, the whole family got together at my mama's house and we got food, big music, and Percy was DJing. And my cousin Nicole walked in the house with somebody named 666 Bounty from the Creek Mob. He was from Bellini Way in the South Side, in the Glen Elders. And so Cuz come in the room where Percy's DJing from my bedroom. And I got my rhymes thumbtacked to the walls like niggas do their comic books and shit. You know what I mean? I had rhymes on the wall instead of posters. He was like, who wrote this shit? So turns out 666 Bounty, also known as Six, was best friends with Brotha Lynch Hung, and they both were in a generation above me. So, we all from the same area, but we moving in different circles. They already, running around doing grown man type shit. I was still 1 foot in young man type shit. And so Six come with my cousin. He was like, nigga, I need you to meet my brother. You guys got to get together and do this shit. He was like, I'm gonna have you meet Lynch. And I'm like, who the fuck is Lynch? And so the next day we meet at Percy house. And I mean like 13 hours we at Percy house just rapping and recording shit. And it turns out it's Kevin. It's Kevin Man. I'm like, nigga, it's Kevin Man, nigga. He was out there as his dancer flipper name was Ice Cold. That's what the homies called Lynch. Ice Cold and Strobe Light was Six and Lynch. And so I know exactly who this nigga is at that point. Brotha Lynch Hung was he started doing that as his rap name and shit. And Lynch was like, y'all, you dope as fuck and we could do this better than this. It's a way for us to do this better than this. He was like, if you could pay for it, I could put you in a dope ass real studio. So of course I go to the block. I tell the homies, nigga, I'm about to go to a real studio because I had been giving the homies my tapes. So the homies had my tapes floating around the South Side. So the homeboy, Big Ken, BK, Ken Morton, I tell him what I needed. Ken give me this big ass bag. I go to see Cuz in the 50s. He gave me a big ass bag. And I'm leaving, I'm walking down the street and I feel guilty because I got like just hella cocaine. And so I go back to the big homie like, man, I think you gave me the wrong bag. And he laughed at me. He was like, all right. And he went back in and came back out and gave me a bigger bag. And he gave me more coke. And he was like, you a good little nigga for that. That was some good shit you did. He was like, I ain't give you the wrong bag, but now you got the right bag. And I went and I just hustled in the Cadillacs in the 50s and Florence Meadows on 23rd Street. I just went and started grinding and I got my bag up and I paid for my studio time with that. And shout out to the homie Big Ken. So we end up at Inharmonic Studios on C Street and like 13th. And there's a cat in there named John Botch who had built a state-of-the-art studio. Like he had recorded like, what's them niggas name? The rock group from Sacramento? I forget their name. They hella big. It bothers the fuck out of me that I can't remember the name of their group. They dope as fuck and they deserve their respect. But it's a rock, if the rock scene in Sacramento was ahead of the rap scene. So because we had access to these facilities that were recording elite high level rock music, making rap music in that bitch was hella easy, hella easy. So we walk in there, me, Percy, Brotha Lynch, Six. At the time it was just us. And then J-Dog's cousins were with me, the twins, Raymond and Richard, and my nephew's father, Big Tony Starkey. So all of us are in the studio doing our thing, and they believe in me. Everybody just trying to help me get this done. And so I knock out, in my first day in the studio, I knocked out like 5 or 6 songs between, Lynch kind of sat there and engineered our shit, but me and Tantrum collected our samples. Lynch programmed the 808, but Tantrum put the samples in and all the scratches and shit like that. I told everybody what I wanted. I picked my own samples. So I feel like it's using it loosely to say somebody produced my shit. I feel like we produced that shit. You know what I mean? I went in there and remade songs that me and Percy had made at his house inside of a professional studio. So to attribute that to Brotha Lynch Hung, to me, historically, is an error. You know what I mean?
Okay, but you guys ultimately put together this album.
Yeah, the EP.
The EP, and it gets released in 1992 under Black Market Records.
It did not. It got released in January of 1991. So again, Brotha Lynch Hung and 666, they were making tapes and putting their tapes on consignment in little stores with singles and shit. And so Six and Lynch already knew where to go to get the tapes and manufacture this shit. So we go to this spot off Howe Avenue in Sacramento, and I get my tape made. And Lynch hand drew my little cover for my first EP that was ever released. It was called Niggas in Black. And heavily NWA, Ice Cube, Too Short, Eazy-E influenced. Even some Ghetto Boys a little bit. I was still trying to find out who the fuck I was. You know, a 15-year-old kid just rapping. And so we get the tapes made and shit, and I dropped my first project on my own company called 24 Deep Productions in January of 1991. So between the 17th of December to linking up with Lynch and Six and putting them with the homie, starting to grind and sell dope, pay for my studio time, to about in a 30-day window, we had a tape in the stores on consignment in Tower Records.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but eventually the album did come out on Black Market Records.
Not that one. So that one got me to Black Market Records. So I put that out. At the time, I didn't even have a rap name. I was just calling the homies just called me, like, I was Lil Slim Dog. The homies call me Lil Ray sometimes. They call me Black Ass Chocolate as a hood name. The homies just that really know me. C-Bro call me Black Ass Chow. We call one of the homies Black Lab because that nigga Black is a Black Labrador Retriever. Everybody know who Black Lab is. Who Black Lab, cuz? Big Pook, nigga. Everybody know it. So it was like that. So I just had a line where I was like, your girl call me X-rated when I'm digging her out. Porno movie position, sticking my dick in her mouth. And then everybody started being like, have you heard X-rated song? And that kind of started floating around. Like Scarface. Scarface was B-Action, Brad. That nigga rap name was Brad, B-Act. And he just made a song, Call Me Scarface. And everybody called him Scarface. So the fans named Scarface, really. And that's kind of what happened to me. People just named me X-rated. And so I kind of just took that on, and Brotha Lynch was like, nah, rated is too player. Like, that's some Bay Area shit. We not Bay Area player, nigga. We gangsta, R-A-I-D-E-D. And Lynch drew my first logo, and that's how it became X-R-A-I-D-E-D rated. From Brotha Lynch Hung. So he drew that and my first cover. We put it on consignment. Niggas start buying that. That's floating around the South Side, but nobody knows it's me, because who the fuck is X-rated, right? And so I ended up going to juvenile hall. So 2 things happened. One, my mom went to church, and while she was at church, she had my cover on a keychain. And Cedric Singleton saw that and asked her if she knew X-rated, if she knew who that was. And she was like, that's my son. So he gave her a card. So I have Cedric Singleton's card, and then I do that same joyride where we was about to go blap up some shit, and I end up in the juvenile hall, and the homie Meek is there. Meek is from 23rd Street. He at the time he was like Meadowview Gardens. He was becoming who he is now, a central, powerful figure. Even at the time, he was a powerful figure. So much so that me seeing Meek in the juvenile hall, I didn't even know he was a teenager. This nigga got every car you could have, gold rims, all the baddest bitches, all the jewelry. This nigga's doing it big. And he's right there from the south side from my neighborhood, but he run red. And so Meek was like, we just started talking and shit, and I was rapping. He was like, nigga, and I was like, I'm X-rated. He was like, nigga, you're X-rated. He had no idea it was me. I was selling dope at the house next door to his grandma's house on Babbitt and 23rd Street and at Tracy Butler house. And so Sebo and Meek are brothers. They brothers. Then Meek is Sebo's little brother, and Bo was in CYA at the time. So Meek is like, nigga, I've been trying to figure out who the fuck this was, because I'm rapping about the South Side, rapping about the gardens, all that shit. And he was like, nigga, when we get out, call me. Let's do this shit for real. Call me when you get out. So I get out. Moms come pick me up that weekend. I get to get my little clothes on Monday. And then randomly, I'm like, fuck it. I call this nigga Miko. Meek was like, nigga, I'm coming to get you. He pull up on me in the 5.0 on gold things and was like, I'm paying for all this shit. We gonna take over every fucking thing. It's up. So Meek is like how what I consider to be our Harry O. If Cedric was our Suge Knight, then Meek was our Harry O. So Meek is like, nigga, I tell him about Cedric, my mom meeting Cedric, I give him the card. The nigga Meek arranged the meeting, operating damn near like my manager at the time. Keep in mind, I love this nigga even from Meadowview, and I love him to this day. That's my brother. And so Meek push up on Cedric and take me over there and was like, I got the dopest little nigga in the game right now. This is the one. He the one. Meek like barely 3-4 years older than me, maybe. And I think I was 16. I was 15 or 16 at the time. Yeah, I was 15. Turned 16. No, I was 16 already. And so 17, 18, he might have been like 18, 19, somewhere around there. I'm not sure. So we go to Cedric. He take me over there. Cedric hear the rhymes, and they start talking about this company that Cedric is building, because nobody had ever dropped music on Black Market Records before. So it's a couple people like in the history of Garden Block or in the history of Sacramento hip hop who came before me who deserve an acknowledgement. So the first one was a group called Triple Threat 3. And that's my big homeboy, Mike Carraway, the homie DC Ray, and the homie BK, another BK, Bruce Knight. Is that correct? So, in Cloud 9. So these niggas are all, this is like early 80s type shit. And they had some moments, like they was going to LA, they was doing shows, they had some moments, it was working. And then the next nigga was named Homicide from Oak Park. And he had a slapping ass song called Doghouse. And he was putting on for the Oak Park Bloods. And so I'm paying attention to Homicide. I see what these niggas is doing. And me and Meek, you know, on behalf of the South Side, on behalf of the Gardens, we want to get it in. So we tell Cedric, like, this is what time it is. So Ced and Meek start plotting the creation of what became Black Market Records. And we got Danger Island as his production thing. 24 Deep Productions is my thing. And then they created Black Market Records. Meek funded that shit with Cedric. And my album, Psychoactive, ended up becoming the first album ever released by Black Market Records. I'm like the LL Cool J of Black Market Records.